Senator Coons, Senator Cruz.
Secretary Mayorkas, you testified several times that our immigration system is, quote, fundamentally broken. True or false, under President Trump, we saw the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years.
I don't know if it's within 45 years, but we certainly saw in 2020 a low level of illegal immigration. 2019 was
okay.
very high.
True or false, Secretary Mayorkas? This year, under Joe Biden, we've seen the highest rate of illegal immigration in 61 years.
Again, I don't know the number of years, but it's certainly a historic high, Senator.
So you're right, it's broken, but you broke it. Let me ask you, in the calendar year 2021, how many illegal immigrants do you expect to have crossed illegally into the United States?
I believe the total number of encounters, as has been referenced in this hearing earlier, is approximately just under 1.7 million.
But there's 2 months remaining. Is it correct that you project over 2 million illegal immigrants in 2021, calendar year 2021?
I believe that is correct, Senator. And over the last 3 months, we've seen a drop in the numbers by reason.
And how many children do you project in 2021?
I'm sorry?
How many children will have crossed illegally in 2021?
I believe that thus far, through October 31st, Senator, approximately 125,000 unaccompanied children have been transferred to the shelter and care of Health and Human Services.
Now, you told another senator you don't know how many gotaways there have been?
I will have to circle back, Senator, with that information. Yes.
So that wasn't a fact that you thought was relevant to this hearing?
Oh, it is absolutely relevant. I understand why the question is posed. It's a fact of great...
Okay, but you're not prepared to answer it. How about this? How many deaths, how many illegal aliens have died crossing illegally into the United States under Joe Biden's administration?
I don't have that data.
So the deaths, you didn't prepare that data either. All right, how about this? How many children have been in the Biden cages in calendar year 2021?
Senator, I respectfully disagree with your use of the term cages.
Fine, you can disagree with it. How many children have been in the Biden cages? I've been to the Biden cages. I've seen the Biden cages. How many children have you detained at the Donna Tent facility in the cages you built to hold kids? How many children have been in those cages?
Senator, I can provide to you the following figure that when, and let me say, that when a child...
it's a simple question. How many children have been in those cages?
I respectfully am not familiar with the term cages and to what you are referring. There are
enclosures in which they are locked in which I took photographs and put them out because you blocked the press and didn't want people to see the Biden cages. The secure facilities in which they are locked down in Donna, those facilities, how many children have been in them?
Senator, there are 3 types of facilities. There's
the Donna Tent cages, the Donna Tent City. Let's take the Donna facility. How many children have been there?
That is a soft-sided facility. It is not a...
Okay, are you going to answer the question, how many children have been in that facility?
I will have to circle back with you with a precise number.
Oh, by the way, here's a photograph of the Biden cages.
That, Senator, that is precisely why I articulated...
Children sleeping on floors, crashed in upon each other. When I took this photograph, the rate of COVID positivity was over 10%.
May I speak, Senator?
You can answer the question. How many kids have been in these conditions?
That is precisely why I stated in March of this year that a Border Patrol station is no place for a child, number one.
Okay, but
number two,
all right,
that is
Secretary Mayorkas, you're not answering my question, so let me ask you this. In the past year, has Joe Biden been down to see firsthand the Biden cages?
Senator, I will again...
Has Joe Biden been down to see this facility? Yes or no?
The president has not been down to the...
Okay, no. Has Kamala Harris been down to see the Biden cages, this facility? Yes or no?
The vice president was at the border.
Has she been down to see this facility? I know she went to El Paso. Has she seen the Biden cages?
They are not cages. And...
what are these walls?
Senator,
has Kamala Harris seen them? Yes or no?
Senator,
it's a simple question. Yes or no? We don't need a paragraph. Yes or no? Has Kamala Harris been down to see these detention facilities?
She has not been down.
Has any Democratic senator on this committee been down to see the Biden cages?
I will once again disagree with your use of terminology.
These facilities, has any Democratic member of this committee given a damn enough to see the children being locked up by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because of your failed immigration policies.
Senator, I cannot speak to the members of this committee. And
you don't know if any Democrats have been down there?
I believe Democrats have been down
to see this facility, yes or no?
On a facility. Whether they are members of this committee, I do not know. And
all right, let me ask you a different question then.
That what we
how many women have been sexually assaulted being trafficked into this country in 2021?
Senator, I have no ability to determine how many.
Okay, you don't know, so you didn't try to find out?
Have been sexually assaulted in Mexico along the migratory.
All right, how about this? How many children have been sexually assaulted by traffickers or other people when they were coming in illegally?
I do not have that data.
Okay, so you don't know that either. Let me ask you this. How many illegal immigrants have you released into the United States who were COVID positive?
Senator, it is our policy to test individuals.
I didn't ask your policy. How many illegal aliens have you released who are COVID positive?
Well, let me just say, when they are released, they are placed in immigration.
How many have you released that were COVID positive?
I will have to get that number.
Okay, you don't have that answer either. All right, let's try this. How many illegal aliens have you released who had criminal convictions?
Who have criminal convictions in Mexico? In the
criminal convictions in whatever jurisdiction?
Those individuals, if they pose a public safety threat.
How many individuals with criminal convictions have you released?
Senator, I do not have that.
Okay,
number.
Let's specify it more narrowly. How many murderers have you released?
I'm not aware of any murderers whom.
How many rapists have you released?
I'm not aware of any rapists whom.
How many child molesters have you released?
I am not aware of any child molesters whom we have released into the United States, and I should say that
senior Customs and Border Patrol leadership have told me that your agency is slow walking and refusing to comply with the order from the federal court to return to the Remain in Mexico policy. What would you say to the judge if the judge was asking why you should not be held in contempt and incarcerated for defying a federal court order?
It is because we are implementing the court's order in good faith. We are working with Mexico. It requires a bilateral relationship and an agreement. And I should also add.
Have you or anyone on your staff expressed to Mexico to resist going back to this agreement?
No. And I should also indicate to you, Senator, that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, under the sex offenders operation known as SOAR, apprehended 495 individuals between June 4th and September 1st who committed sex offenses, and we're very focused on public safety.
Thank you, Senator Cruz. Senator Hirono.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Secretary. I want to talk about the policies that have gotten us to where we are with our effectively open border. But let me first ask you about this. You said as recently as this week that the border is closed. Is that still your position today? Border is closed?
Yes, it is.
Don't you think you bear any responsibility for the current crisis by telling the world earlier this year that the border was open? Your words were, we're not telling you not to come. We're just telling you that we're putting a system back in place in which you can come. I mean, don't you think people took your words at face value then?
Senator, I've never said that the border is open, and I've never believed.
We're not telling you not to come. How would you parse that?
Senator, I've never said that the border is open, and I've never believed that it should be an open border. We have laws that Congress has passed that are laws of accountability and also laws of humanitarian relief.
You did say that we're not telling you not to come, though, right? You said that. You remember that?
I'm sorry, Senator. I apologize.
You remember saying, don't you, that we're not telling you not to come? Those are your words that you said in a press conference. You said that, right?
I don't recall saying that. I don't believe.
You don't recall saying that?
That's correct, Senator. I have never said.
We'd be happy to refresh your memory for you and some questions for the record. I'm sure that is interesting news that I'm sure everyone will. The Secretary's just said he doesn't have any memory of making those comments. That's extraordinary.
Senator, I have never said that the border is open.
Let me ask you about this. CBP data says that the agency had 178,000 enforcement encounters at the southern border in April. It's the highest in 2 decades. Of that total, what percentage were subject to immediate expulsion?
I will get that data to you. I don't have that at my disposal this morning.
Is it 100%? Is it 60%? Is it 20%? Do you have any idea?
100% of families and single adults are subject to expulsion, except for those with acute vulnerabilities, and we exercise that discretion. However, our ability to actually expel families under CDC's Title 42 authority is limited by, for example, Mexico's ability and capacity, I should say, to receive the expelled families, and that is what we are addressing as a result.
Okay, I think the number is around 60% or so are subject to immediate expulsion, which means we have a very large percentage of migrants who were permitted entry into the United States and are still here. But we'll give that question again to you for the record so that you can go and look it up. Let me ask you this. Why is it that this week, actually late last night, it was reported that CBP terminated a flight program that transferred families across the southern border for purposes of expelling them under Title 42. These flights were apparently canceled due to the pressure of left-wing groups. Is that accurate?
Senator, we make our decisions as we consider to be most effective in furtherance of our mission and not because of pressure by outside groups. I'd be pleased to look into the cancellation of the lateral flights and respond to you after I've done so.
So you're telling me here that the ACLU had no role in the termination of these expulsion flights? Is that your testimony?
Senator, we are addressing the claims of the ACLU. The ACLU has claimed that our exercise of the CDC's Title 42 authority is not supported by the law, and we are working with the ACLU, actually adverse to the ACLU.
You're working with them, though?
If I may, Senator, we are adverse to the ACLU.
But you're working with them in this program? Is that why you canceled it?
If I may finish, Senator, we are adverse to the ACLU in litigation with respect to the legal authority underpinning our exercise of the CDC's Title 42 authority.
Right, but they had a role in terminating this. You're working with them in the termination of these expulsion flights.
Senator, the decisions with respect to expulsion flights are ours because of the decisions that we have made based on the reasons that we think are necessary to execute on our mission.
Well, I think the fact that you're working with them is interesting news, so that's also quite relevant. We'll give you this information as a question for the record.
Senator, they're suing us and we're defendants. That's not what
I'm just quoting back what you just said. You just said that we're working with them. The news reports indicate that you've canceled these flights at their behest. You and I both know that there can be such a thing as friendly litigation, Mr. Secretary. I mean, let's not pretend otherwise. I'm just repeating your own words to you. We'll give this to you as a question for the record so that you can look into it more further. I think that's interesting news. Let me ask you about why you canceled the Safe Third agreements with the governments of El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. These are agreements negotiated by the previous administration that the president canceled once he came into office. The president says that he's an avowed multilateralist, and yet one of the first things he did was to tear up these international agreements with other countries. How can you address the root causes of migration, as you keep talking about, if you're going to tear up international agreements that try to address these problems?
So I will answer your question and make one comment before I do so. I've been a lawyer now for 35 or so years. Friendly litigation is a phenomenon with which I'm completely unfamiliar.
Really? You're not familiar? Wait a minute. You're not familiar with an outside group bringing litigation against the government that the government then accedes to in order to change the law? You've never heard of that phenomenon?
Senator, I'm not familiar with friendly litigation. As a federal prosecutor, I was a strong advocate for the United States government in the pursuit of criminal accountability.
You've never heard wait, this is interesting, and you just brought it up. You've never heard of a regulatory lawsuits in which outside groups bring suits against the federal government. The government then agrees to settle the suit or to change its rules, and it reaches a settlement that is favored, that the government actually wants to achieve. You've never heard of that before?
Senator, I've heard of resolutions of litigation. I've heard of settlements of litigation. I've heard of arbitration. I've heard of mediation. Friendly litigation, the commencement of friendly litigation is something with which I'm unfamiliar. The reason why the
extraordinary.
The reason why the Safe Third Country agreements were terminated is because there was nothing safe about them.
I'm sorry, by which you mean what?
Senator, to have an individual fleeing persecution from Guatemala and considering Honduras a safe third country is actually empirically incorrect. Because, and we can take a look at the migration from Honduras and the number of people leaving Honduras for fear of persecution, and that is not our concept of a safe third country.
It's not your concept. So you think it's wise policy to come into office to terminate these international agreements based on your judgment about these other countries without consultation with them, apparently, and then we see this massive spike. Would you say that the children who have come to the United States and have gone through the border crossing, have had to do who knows what for the cartel, are more safe because of your actions? Do you think that you put them in less danger because of the agreements that you terminated and the opportunities to seek asylum and then wait in a third country you've denied to them? Do you think that your actions have made the situation better?
Senator, you've gone over your time. But
Could I get an answer to that question?
Yes,
And then I'll
absolutely.
stop.
So, Secretary, you may answer that question, but be respectful of our three other members that are waiting.
The safe third country agreements, in my opinion, put children in harm's way.
Thank you, Senator Hawley. Senator Austin.